How many times have you looked back and felt that tightness in your chest? That feeling that you let opportunities slip by, that you missed the right moment, that now it's all too late. That voice whispering inside you, I'm already this age, I've come this far. It's too late now, feels so real, so convincing, that it sounds like an absolute truth. It feels like the end of your story. Like a final sentence on who you can be and what you can still do. But I want to tell you something that can completely change the way you see yourself and the way you relate to that feeling. That paralyzing fear that time has already passed. It's a very well-dressed liar. It wears the clothes of logic, reason, experience. It speaks as if it were the voice of wisdom, when in fact it's just fear in disguise. And today, right here, I'm going to show you that there are at least 4 doors that should never, ever be closed in your life. For paths where there is always room for you to start over, to reinvent yourself, to discover who you can truly become. Because believing it's too late isn't just a thought, it's a prison you built yourself. Brick by brick, belief by belief, word by word, and the good news. You have the key. It's in your hands at this very moment. This is another Headspace Talks. Let's go together. What we don't see, but is always there pulsing deep inside, is this ancestral fear we've inherited. That fear that once time passes, everything closes. That there's an expiration date for our dreams, our opportunities, our lives. As if there were a staircase, and after a certain step, you couldn't climb up or down anymore. You stay stuck there, watching others go by. But this fear doesn't come from reality. It comes from the stories we hear, from people around us who gave up. From a culture that says, by 30, you should be done studying. By 40, your career should be set. By 50, you should be comfortable. By 60, you should be retired and satisfied. And when you don't fit into these little boxes that society prepared so carefully, when you reach 50 and realize you still want to study, still want to change, still want to try, then comes that feeling of failure, of being out of place, behind, wrong. What no one tells you is that this rigidity, these expiration dates we create, have no basis in the reality of real life. Life is not a schedule. Life doesn't come with a manual telling you, do this by this age, and never again afterward. Life is a series of possibilities that open and close according to the choices you make, not according to the numbers on your ID. You are so much more than your age. Many times, we also carry beliefs that were planted in us years ago, sometimes decades ago. Someone once told you it was too late, that you wouldn't make it, that your ship had sailed and you needed to learn how to live on land. And ever since, you've been carrying this heavy backpack, a backpack made of hurtful words, failed situations, people who didn't believe in you, and you simply believed them. You believed in the backpack and started to carry it as if it were absolute truth. But what if I told you that you can drop it? That you can simply set that backpack on the ground and walk forward lighter. That everything inside it, those judgments, those limiting beliefs, those nevers, and it's too late, none of that belongs to you. That it was put there by someone who was also afraid, who also believed in limitations, who also didn't know the power you carry inside you. Inside you, there's a voice. Sometimes it's gentle, comforting, like a warm hug on a cold day. But many times, maybe most times, it's ruthless. It says things you would never say to someone you love, to a friend, to a child. But you say them to yourself without blinking, without hesitation, as if it were simply the truth being spoken. No, that's not for me. My time has passed. I'm too old for this. I always choose wrong. I'm not capable. I've tried before and it didn't work. Why would it be different now? I don't deserve that. Younger people can do it, but me. It's already too late. That voice is not the truth. Let me repeat that because it's important. That voice is not the truth. That voice is an echo of fears, of past experiences, of moments when things didn't go the way you expected. And we naturally create narratives around these echoes. We turn one failure into a death sentence. A relationship that didn't work becomes I'll never love again. People don't deserve what I have to give. A career that didn't fulfill you becomes I can't change. It's too late. I've invested too much time. A guilt you've carried for years becomes I don't deserve forgiveness. I'll carry this forever. When you speak in these extremes, never, always, impossible, never again, forever, you're already creating a block, an energetic, emotional, mental block. You're closing the door before even trying to open it. It's like you're reading the future and declaring it will be bad, when in reality, you're just protecting yourself. Protecting yourself from the fear of trying again and failing, protecting yourself from the pain of believing and not succeeding. It's safer to close the door. It's safer not to try. But look at this with me closely. When you let negative thinking run the show, when you feed that inner critic every single day, it doesn't stay just a passing thought. It becomes an attitude, a posture, an energy you radiate into the world without even noticing. And the universe, life, the world, whatever you want to call it, gives you back exactly what you send out. If you send doubt, doubt returns. If you send failure, failure returns. If you send it's impossible, then yes, it becomes impossible. So right now, I invite you to do one thing. Observe that voice. Don't judge it, just observe. How do you talk to yourself? What are the phrases you repeat? Because what you repeat, you believe. And what you believe, you live. Here's a truth that can set you free right now. You don't need to hate who you were to love who you want to be. You don't need to destroy your previous version to build the new one. Both can coexist. The scared version can stand there holding hands with the brave version. Many times, we think that to start over, to change, to forgive ourselves, we need to do some radical cleanup. A burning of everything. As if we had to erase everything that came before. Erase the mistakes, erase the pain, erase the choices that didn't work out, pretend they never happened. Start from absolute zero, like a computer being reset. But that's not how life works. And thankfully, that's not how true transformation happens. Starting over is never starting from zero. Let me say that again because it's revolutionary. Starting over is never starting from zero. Starting over is continuing. Continuing with everything you've lived, everything you've learned, even the most painful things that didn't work out as fuel, as wisdom, as tools to build something better this time. You made it this far carrying a whole story. A story full of twists, failed plans, dreams that changed, people who came and left, and all this, all of it, brought you to this exact moment. You don't need to erase any of it. And forgiveness? Forgiveness is much more beautiful and much more powerful than we imagine. Forgiveness is not pretending nothing happened. It's not saying it's fine when you're still hurt. Forgiveness is looking at yourself not with pity, not with hatred, not with desperation, but with the same look you would give a child who's scared to try again. A child who fell, got hurt, and is now afraid to get back up. It's looking at that child and saying with all the tenderness in the world, I understand why you did that. I understand why you protected yourself. I understand the fear. I understand why you gave up, and it's okay. You did the best you could with what you had at the time. Now, let's move forward together. When you allow yourself that, when you truly forgive yourself, not for what you did, but simply for being human, for being alive, for having tried, something shifts. Something deep shifts. That weight you've been carrying for years, that weight that's felt heavier as time passed, it gets lighter. It doesn't magically disappear. It doesn't become weightless in an instant. But you learn to carry it with more ease. You learn it's possible to live with it without letting it live you. And that creates space, a lot of space. For new things to enter your life. For you to breathe differently. Do you know the secret no one talks about? Great transformations don't begin with a giant leap of faith. They don't begin with waking up one day completely changed. They begin with one single step. A step you can take today. A small step, sometimes almost unnoticeable, but it's still a step. When you decide to start again, maybe going back to school after decades away, maybe changing careers, leaving that draining job to try something completely new, maybe working on that broken relationship, investing time, energy, vulnerability when you decide to forgive yourself, to face that guilt that's been trailing you, every small act counts. Every day you get up and reaffirm your decision, even when it's hard, even when doubt knocks like an unexpected guest. Every time you choose to try again, even after falling, these small things, they literally reshape your brain. They build new neural connections, new mental pathways. It's like you're teaching yourself that it's possible, that you can deserve to try. And here is the truth you need to learn so deeply that it becomes like oxygen. Possibility. Not a miracle, not luck falling from the sky. Possibility. You acting. You choosing. You saying, I'll try even with fear, still there, whispering. And when you start recognizing these small victories, when you stop for a moment and say, I was scared, but I did it anyway. I didn't believe I could, but I did. I thought it was too late, but I started. Something profound happens inside you. Gratitude. And gratitude isn't just about the big wins, promotions, relationships, degrees. Gratitude is also about being alive, having a body that works, having a mind that can think, dream, imagine, having strength, being able to try again, still having time, still having possibility. And when you start feeling that gratitude, not just thinking it, but truly feeling it, everything changes. There's something deeply transformative that happens when we finally believe we deserve. That we deserve love, that we deserve success, that we deserve a different, better, more meaningful life. Not because you're perfect, not because you achieved everything, but simply because you exist, because you are worthy, because you were born with the right to live. Because the truth, and this matters, is that many times what stops us is not the time that passed, not age, not the idea that your chance is gone. What stops us is the belief that we don't deserve, that we doubt ourselves, that we think we'll never get it right, that love isn't for people like us, that success is for others, that change is for the brave, and we're not brave enough. But that is a narrative. A narrative you learned from someone somewhere in your life. Maybe from a parent who said you wouldn't make it. Maybe from a teacher who said you weren't good enough. Maybe from a relationship that made you feel small. Maybe from a lifetime of not being in the right place at the right time with the right people. And ever since, you've repeated that narrative like a mantra, like a truth carved in stone. And mantras have power. They shape the reality you live. They create neural pathways. If you believe you don't deserve, you sabotage opportunities. You take yourself out of the game before it starts. If you believe it's too late, you don't try. Why try if you're convinced you'll fail? If you believe everything will go wrong, you start defeated. You see signs of failure everywhere. Recognizing your own worth is revolutionary. It's an act of rebellion against everything that told you you weren't enough. It's you looking at yourself truly, without judgment, with tenderness, and saying, I am worthy. I deserve to try. I deserve to love and to be loved. I deserve a life that makes sense to me. Not because I've earned it. Simply because I'm here. Not because you're perfect. Not because you've accomplished everything, but because you exist. Because you're human. Because you're alive. And when you love yourself in that way, with genuine compassion, with firmness, with quiet certainty, things begin to reorganize. Not magically, but very realistically. Because you begin to respect yourself enough to make better choices. To stop accepting what hurts you just because it's familiar. To go after what you truly want. To say no when you need to say no. To say yes when you need to say yes. To leave relationships that hurt you, to enter possibilities that scare you but make your heart race. The present is the only place where you have real power. Now, this exact moment, not yesterday. You can't change yesterday no matter how hard you try. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow isn't real yet. Not 10 years from now. That's just fiction your mind creates. Now, here. this breath you're taking. And it's easy to get trapped in the past. Reliving mistakes, replaying pain, blaming ourselves for everything that didn't work, or running toward the future, imagining disasters that might never happen. Anticipating failure that may never arrive, creating horror scenarios that exist only in our minds. But while you do that, stuck in the past or future, the present passes silently. And the present is where the magic happens. It's where you actually live. When you start over a career, a relationship, a habit, forgiveness, you're doing something anchored in the present. You're here, now, choosing differently, choosing better, choosing to free yourself from what holds you back. And that choice, made in this exact moment, has the power to rewrite everything that comes next. It isn't a small thing, it's everything. You know that feeling you get when you finally make a change? When you finally take the step you've been putting off? When you finally face what you were afraid to confront? There's a lightness, a clarity that comes from a place you didn't even know existed because you left paralysis behind. You left that mental loop of should've, could've, would've, the three most dangerous words in the Portuguese language, and you stepped into action. You stepped into the present. You stepped into life. And when you're in the present fully there, not half distracted by your phone, not half consumed by what others think, you realize that the sky isn't the limit, because there is no limit. There is only possibility. You are not limited by your past. You are expanded by what you learned from it. You are not constrained by your age. You are strengthened by the wisdom it brought. You are not diminished by your failures. You are bigger because you've turned them into lessons. So now, in this moment, do one thing with me. Breathe. Just that. Feel the present. Feel your body here. Feel the air going in and out because you are alive. And being alive means being in possibility. So here we are, with you. Now. In this exact moment, you're reading these words, or hearing this voice, or feeling these ideas knock inside you like dominoes falling one after another. All these four truths that it's never too late to start over, to change, to forgive yourself, to love, are not just beautiful sentences that sound good. They are invitations. Deep invitations for you to see yourself in a completely different way, to question the beliefs that have been limiting you for so long, to feel, not just think, but truly feel that there is an opening, a doorway, a chance to do things differently. Because life is not a sentence, it is not a final verdict. Life is a process that continues as long as you're breathing, and processes can be rewritten, reconfigured, You can be here, right now, carrying your entire life story, everything you've lived, every mistake you made, every pain you felt, and still choose to walk toward a new place. Toward a life that truly resonates with who you want to be, with who you can be, with who you already are. Self-knowledge is the key that opens every door. It is when you begin to truly understand yourself, not just intellectually, but emotionally and spiritually, that you realize those nevers and too lates are not universal truths. They are just protections. Creative strategies you once used to keep yourself safe from the pain of trying and failing again. Survival strategies that made sense at the time, but maybe don't anymore. But when you strengthen yourself, when you understand yourself deeply, when you value yourself the way you deserve, when you understand that you are worthy, then yes, everything changes. Not the external world. Most things out there stay the same. But you, inside, you bloom. You know yourself. And that changes absolutely everything. So as you walk this life path, this path that is uniquely yours, that no one else can walk for you, that is designed especially for you as you continue building and rebuilding, choosing and choosing again, let me ask you a question for deep reflection. If you knew with absolute certainty that it is not too late, that all these doors are still open, waiting for you to walk through them, that each one leads to infinite possibilities you haven't explored yet, what would be the first step you would take tomorrow? Just one step, not a revolution, not a huge change. One step, small, but yours. Because here's the truth. Life doesn't change with big gestures. Life changes with consistency, with small steps taken every day. Because here is the truth you carry now, in this moment. You made it here for a reason. Everything you've lived, every mistake, every achievement, every pain, every joy, all of it prepared you for this exact moment. For you to finally understand that your time is not over. That it is actually just beginning. That you have so much left to live, to learn, to love, to create. You are not too late. You will never be too late. And of course, if you want to keep walking this path with me, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here on Headspace Talks, we learn together how to turn pain into strength and silence into healing. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for opening your heart to these words. Thank you for believing that it's possible, because when you believe, everything becomes possible. Let's walk together,